Hey guys, I'm testing myself on for a new, very exciting project, which I can tell you about another time, but I'm gonna see and I'm gonna do some time trials and see if I can do a dish in 10 minutes. Here's a 10-minute Wok Wednesday, and what I'm gonna make is a quick, very quick wonton soup. So here's my Wokdown Wednesday wonton soup, and the 10 minutes starts now. Right, first thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna make my wonton pastry, and I've got my K mixer or my dough mixer here to make this pastry. So I've got some plain flour. I'll show you guys this in a second. I've got some plain flour and an egg, along with a little bit of water if need be, and a pinch of salt. Just get that mixing as soon as possible. You don't need a lot of water for this because we've got your egg in there as well. I'm going to put a little bit of corn flour, about a tablespoon or so of corn flour into the mix, and then we'll just start to drizzle some cold water into there so it can pick up the flour and get that well mixed through until it starts to form a nice dough. Flour's not mixing in quite quick enough, so I'm just going to take the flour off the sides, make sure that gets well mixed and becomes more of a dough as quickly as possible. And whilst that's going, then I'm going to start to get my veg into a food processor here, just so that I can cook it or get that mix ready as quickly as possible. So I've got some carrot, some celery, and as I say, usually I'd use the cleaver for all of this, but I'm just going to take a couple of bits of celery, chop those up into random chunks, and then some carrot, again just rough chunks to help the food processor out, but that'll blitz that up nicely. A little bit of ginger and some garlic. You know, I'm against the clock here, so I'm not going to worry about any teaspoons or anything for that. So ginger's in there and a little bit of garlic. Just one clove of garlic should do. Straight into the food processor, along with my spinach, which I'm going to add to the dumpling mix as well. I'm going to blitz all that up nice and quickly whilst my dough is being made. Oh, that's coming together nicely. So you can see now my dough here is coming into a nice ball. I'm just pounding that well, or beating that, whilst I then blitz my mix here, which will go with my minced meat. I've got some minced pork that I'm going to use for the actual dumplings. Let's just make sure I can actually close this up properly. Hard to film this whilst I'm going, but you get the gist. And that dumpling dough has been made nicely, and I've had about 3.5 minutes so far. So let's try and get this well churned up. So I've got my spinach and carrot mix set up here, and then I've got my minced pork. So I'm just going to move those aside and get these ready whilst that dumpling mix is kind of making itself. I'm going to make sure I get all of that lovely flavour into this pork mitts here. Season that with a bit of salt and some sesame oil, a little bit of light soy sauce, sesame oil here, and then give that a good massage through. And there's my mix. Really simple mix of minced pork and all that veg and a bit of seasoning. In the meantime, I've got a pot of boiling water on the go, and I just need to, I'm going to get some chicken stock into the boiling water before I then make some space to make my dumplings. The chicken stock's in. Switch that dough off. Just check my dumpling pastry, and that is feeling really nice actually. You can see my dumpling pastry, no oil in there yet. It doesn't really need any, to be honest, but it will need a little bit of corn flour. That's just on the side there, a way to make a real mess, just so that I can actually roll this out. I'm only going to do sort of 5 or 6 dumplings. But once you've got your pastry, usually you let this rest for a little bit, but I don't have time for that, so I'm going to take a few pastries. Let's go for 6 dumplings, shall we? And then see if I can get them there in time. Roll them into nice little balls of dough. It's a really lovely soft pastry, this. With that egg in there, it's got that great colour as well. My rolling pin, flatten that out, roll my pastries, nice and round and flat. I've got corn flour to dust these pastries, so they're nice and simple. That's 1 pastry, 2 pastries, a little bit on the softer side than I wanted, but they will work. Try not to fold them over. 3 pastries there. Got my circles of dough, look at that. Ideally, you'd let this dough rest in the fridge just to sort of harden up a little, but again, I'm going against the clock, so make sure there's enough space for some filling. And one more we've got here. Maybe next time I'll make a giant dumpling, because I think I'm probably about a minute out here on my time trial, but it's not bad. And then make sure you got your filling in the center of the pastry, and then bring them together and just pinch the outside of the pastry together over the top and squeeze. And we've got a very quick wonton there. Here it goes again. You can also do my classic sort of fat cat fold or Batman fold and pinch those up and squeeze that together. This is going to go straight into the stock. 2 to 3 minutes on that boil with your stock. You can even turn that heat down so it's not over boiling, and then we'll pretty much be able to serve up nice and easy with a little bit of chili sauce on the side. Really, really simple. Let's see how it works. So I've got my wontons boiling away. They only need 2 to 3 minutes to cook up, and you can see how they've held their shape so nicely, even with that sort of quick sort of dough that I've made up, that egg dough that I've made up. 3 minutes on the boil, that's all they need. Perhaps I've even got time to make some noodles with the rest of this dough in between, you know, and I could easily make this a 20-minute meal just from rolling out some of this dough for some noodles, and I can boil that into the stock as well. And that's the whole beauty of making a dough like this, is that it's very versatile. I'm going to make a quick wonton noodle dough or egg noodle, and let's just roll this out. And one thing not to be scared of is using too much corn flour to mix this around. So just once it's nice and flat, dust it with a whole load of corn flour, and then you can sort of fold it over itself like so, and just get your cleaver and cut nice lengths of noodles. So once your wontons are ready, then you can take those wontons out. I'll show you those now. Beautiful looking wontons. Super quick. That took me about 11 minutes to make. My noodle dough here now. I'm going to finish off this dish with your side of noodles. So you can see I'm just sifting my fingers through with a whole load of corn flour to just unravel those noodles. And then whilst that stock is still boiling, those noodles can go straight into the stock. They'll take about 30 seconds to cook up. So this is quick handmade noodles and not wonton making here. And you can see these noodles, once you just sort of push through them, they'll start to float to the top after about 30 seconds or so of cooking. I mean, they do look handmade, you know, which is a good thing. So I'm going to take those noodles out. You want them to be a little bit al dente. Just make sure that they're floating at the top before you remove them. And you can see those noodles starting to float at the top now. And that's coming up to a boil, floating to the top. Take your noodles out. They look absolutely beautiful. And then, look at that, my wontons, my noodles. I've got a very messy board, but I'm going to turn that over just so I can chop a little bit of red chili to go over the top of that. Possibly a little bit of light soy and some sriracha chili or some chili oil, whatever you want really. So my wonton light soy sauce just to drizzle over the top. I'm going to take some of that stock, that boiling hot stock. Don't waste that. Just to dress this very simply. Woo. I've got loads of different types of chili oils, but any sort of chili sauce will work really well with this. Just a drizzle of that over the top, like so. Got some of those spinach leaves, don't waste them, to garnish my soup. Wonton noodle soup in just under 20 minutes. So I tried that in 10 minutes, didn't work. I was just off 10 minutes. I sort of moved that to a 20-minute mark. You might guess what I'm trying to test for myself, but if you don't, then just watch this space. Aside from that, it is a Wokdown Wednesday, so make sure, Jeremy, I'm talking to myself now because there's no one else to talk to, that you try it. Best part of any Wok Wednesday is tasting. Hi. So let's try the noodles first. Well, a great bite to them. And then the wonton itself is absolutely delicious. And that is a real awesome, quick lunch. Guys, if you like this recipe, and you can see how quick I've made it up, although I have made quite a bit of mess, don't forget to subscribe to our channel and like.